This TFL Talking Trucks podcast is packed full of information, and I'm joined by Roman, not Nathan.
You're so formal, Andre. This sounds like
What?
the beginning. This is just two guys talking about trucks.
No,
How about that?
No. This is the industry-leading podcast about pickup trucks.
And I'm here because Nathan's on vacation, so I'm sitting in. But I like the idea of just two guys talking about trucks because that's what we're going to be doing, Andre. We're going to be talking about the fact that you sold your old truck. And at the end of this podcast,
Yes.
you are going to reveal to the entire world what new truck you have ordered because it's not here yet. But let's face it, you're buying it.
Yes.
And that's important because you are the leading truck journalist, I would say, in all of North America. I'm going to go that far.
What?
Yeah, I think you're the most important,
you-
most consequential. So when you buy a truck, people listen.
That's a lot of pressure, Roman. Why would you say something like this?
Because it's true. So in this podcast, guys, we're going to be talking about not only what truck Andre sold and how he sold it and why he sold it, which truck he's buying, but we have, because it's the end of the year, actually purchased 3 trucks as TFL. Now, the one that he's buying, that's his personal truck.
Yeah.
But we bought a Ram 2500, affectionately nicknamed Stubby.
No, that's
Ram
1500.
1500, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
2500 also exists.
But that's old news.
That's old news. And but anyway, we bought the Ram 1500.
Yep, and then we bought a Ranger.
Yep.
And then we also bought the Hummer EV, and a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads as to why we bought the Hummer EV. So we're going to go over how we decided to buy those, what the buying process was like.
Yeah.
Was it painful? Was it not painful? What we like about the trucks, what we don't like about the trucks. And, of course, at the end of this podcast, you're going to let the world know why and which truck you bought for your own personal truck.
Okay, so here's my thinking process, okay?
Yep.
I'll just start there. So as a managing editor of TFL Truck, it is a big responsibility. But for my personal vehicles, first of all, I have a few things I do in the summers, right? I like to go boating with my family, which means I need to bring a boat with
Yep.
me. I need to
So you
tow.
need to tow.
You need to tow. So towing is a big consideration for me. The boat and the trailer weigh about 6,000 pounds. So it's not a tremendous amount of weight. But I need to bring my entire family and all their things.
So you've narrowed it down to a midsize, a full size, or a heavy duty, because 6,000 pounds is not going to be towed by one of the new compact trucks.
No, and no Ridgeline.
And no
so
Ridgeline.
Ridgeline is out the door. I'm sorry.
But let's hold off on the rationale why you bought the
Okay.
truck. Let's talk about what happened first to your Ford F-150 EcoBoost. Tell me why you decided to sell that, and how did you go about selling it, and how was the process? What happened?
So I had, you probably know this if you're listening to the show, I had an F-150 hybrid, so the Power Boost. It has a twin-turbo V6, it's got an electric motor, it's got a 10-speed, it's got all these things. And why did I buy it originally? Because it was the first kind of a full hybrid truck on the market, and I really wanted to test the new technology. But then I had it for 22 months, Roman. Time goes by fast. And I was looking at almost a 2-year mark with this truck. And I said to myself, you know what? I've done everything with this.
How many miles did you put on it?
21,000 miles.
So about the same, right? Usually it's about 12,000 miles a year. So not more, not less, kind of what the average person does.
Yeah.
And what mods did you make to it?
So I kept it stock for a very long time because we test trucks and we want to compare stock to stock to stock. But then I always was dreaming of this, right? I wanted to get my truck a little bit taller, so I did a leveling kit in the front. I put a more aggressive BFG tire on it, KO2, and the tires were almost 34s. So I was riding on 34s, and I did a couple of videos, efficiency videos and off-road, and the truck is actually very capable.
So did you lose a lot of fuel economy? I mean, if you want to get bad fuel economy, put on bigger tires. So how much worse did the fuel economy get when you went to 34s?
So amazingly enough, on our mixed loop, city and highway that we do from Boulder and Longmont, Colorado, we kind of go between the two towns. I didn't lose a heck of a lot, and that was thanks to city driving, because that's what hybrid trucks are really great at, because stop and go, hybrid system really comes into its own. It recoups energy, it kind of gives me energy when I accelerate, so that was great. On the highway, though, I lost them.
So how much?
Big.
How much would you say?
So I went from like 21-ish on the highway to about 20 or 19 and a half on the highway. And I'm talking about like 75 miles an hour going fast.
So about a mile and a half fuel economy less than you would get per gallon.
Yeah, which is considerable, but that's the price you pay when you lift your truck.
And what tires did you choose? What'd you put on there?
It's a KO2.
KO2. Were you happy with them?
Yeah, totally. And my tire was actually, so that was a little hard to find. It was a 17-inch wheel.
You kind of went with pizza cutters. They're little pizza cutters.
I didn't want to. I was purposely trying to avoid pizza cutters, so I went a little bit wider. Obviously, it was about an inch wider than a stock tire. But they were also heavier rated, load range D, which makes them a little stiffer. So I didn't lose a lot of the ride quality, but still a tiny bit.
All right, and the other thing that happens when you go to a bigger tire, of course, is you have to recalibrate your speedometer. Did you do that, or did you just leave it?
I left it. I'm so sorry.
And how far off?
I told the new owner about it. So it's about 7%, 7 or 8%.
That's significant.
So when the speedometer shows 70, you could be going 75.
Interesting.
So you got to watch out for that. I looked into this.
This will be interesting because when we get to the Hummer EV, we had the same issue.
Yeah.
We had a different solution, but that one was a little bit more painful.
So Ford dealership technically, and we ran into this with our Ram Rebel, remember? When we lifted our Ram Rebel. So the dealership usually, up to this point, does not recalibrate your speedometer. I think there is some sort of a legal issue or something like this.
You wouldn't want it to show the legal speed limit.
Well, I don't know. It's a big deal, right? So there is an aftermarket product, right, which you could plug in, and you can recalibrate your Ford really easily. And I called our friends at 5 Star Tuning, and they said, Andre, it exists. It'll be about $400.
Yeah, it's expensive.
And I was like, what? $400 to recalibrate, to buy a device to recalibrate my thing?
You would think that like in the owner's operating system, somewhere buried in one of the menus, there would be like just a value that you could just, I'm rolling on 20 whatever, I'm rolling on 30s, or I'm rolling on 40s, right? And they would just recalculate. And then not only, there's two things that happen, right? Not only is your speedometer correct, but then your odometer is also correct.
And also your fuel efficiency ratings adjust, so when I'm talking about my fuel efficiency, I was calculating at the pump.
Yes.
Right, not looking at
because that would also be off, because your odometer goes off as well.
So I didn't spend the $400.
Right, and
so I never recalibrated.
Now we're big fans of KO2s here, and full transparency. Did you pay for these, or
I paid myself?
So you bought these yourself.
So I went to Costco. Yep. That was another kind of a big deal, because usually Costco checks the vehicle you have before they put the tires on.
Yep.
And if you're going too big, it's against their rules.
Oh, they won't sell you like 40s.
Yeah. Well, they'll sell you 40s, but they won't put it on your truck.
The 44s are right out. Sorry, sir. Your truck is not in our system capable of rolling 40s, unfortunately.
So I went to...
Oh, no. It's for my Unimog. Oh, okay. There you go. But we can't lift that. It's a little heavy. We can't put that one on the lift.
Exactly. So the tires I bought myself. I also bought the leveling kit myself. So I did all that work myself. It was my truck. So I did a little bit of work.
And were you happy with the tires? Like, especially in the winter now. Good in the snow? Were they snow rated?
Yeah, they were. There was the snowflake.
Because they do make the snowflake rated ones.
And not.
Yeah, guys, it's really confusing. So mud and snow tires aren't mud and snow tires. They're really all seasons. Now, all-weather tires are snow tires that you can drive all year round. And snow tires are, of course, snow-rated, but you can only drive on them in the winter, or you'll melt them off your car in the summer.
Yes.
And you can get all-terrain tires, which are snow-rated, which you can also drive all year round. So there's a short synopsis of the tire, different snow ratings, and it's super confusing.
Yeah, and so
because it's marketing.
But I was super happy with the tires. So then it came time to sell it.
Yeah.
Right. So where else would I sell it other than TFLbids.com?
Okay, so you put it up on TFL Bids, and did you have a reserve?
Yeah, I did.
How much?
So I put a reserve at 45.
And how much did you pay for it when you bought it?
So 50.
So you lost $5,000 in 2 years.
Yeah, which is actually not bad. If you
not bad.
I mean,
did you pay sticker for it?
Just under stickers. So I got it at Brighton Ford, our local Ford dealership. So thank you guys out there. And at that moment, it was like the first hybrid that they sold. So when you're buying this next generation, latest and greatest stuff, there's usually not a lot of discounts. Plus, it was during COVID. So they gave me a little bit off my price. but I lost about $5,000 in almost 2 years.
So, Andre, you decided to sell it on TFL Bids. What was that experience like?
Yep. Well, just to be clear, TFL Bids is owned by TFL.
Yes, of course.
So I have an advantage because I can go to Alex and Brandon, who are running the site, and I could actually talk to them directly. But it worked beautifully because it was about a 7-day auction. I put my truck up there. Obviously, this is one of the most documented pickups on the internet, right? Because I've done like 15 videos with this truck. So everything was wide in the open. And then a really nice gentleman, Tony from Wyoming, had the highest bid.
From Wyoming?
Yes.
All right, and who's Tony?
Tony is a retired Navy commander.
Okay.
Yes, and it looks like he's a big Ford guy because he's had several Fords before. He has a Power Stroke now, an older one.
So you had an ex-military dude buy your truck, and did he come down and
He
drive it
couldn't-
home?
He couldn't, unfortunately.
Why?
His health wasn't super great.
Okay.
So his brother-in-law came down and drove the truck
Oh, that's
home.
cool. Well,
So-
and I met his brother-in-law, really nice guy.
Yeah.
And congratulations, Tony. I think you got a really good truck.
Yeah. So, and he already texted me. He took it somewhere in the snow, and he said the tires were working great, and the truck was, really powerful, which is great.
Did you tell him about that incident where you hit a buffalo?
No, I didn't. I never hit a buffalo.
You never mentioned the part where you hit a buffalo?
No, I never hit anything. So, by the way, Tony knows that
You didn't hit a buffalo.
a week after I bought my truck, I went off-roading with Tommy
Okay.
up by Tombstone Hill.
Yeah.
And I sideswiped a tree.
With your truck.
And it was on camera.
Okay.
And Tony knew about that because he's watched
But
the
you didn't
video.
tell him about the buffalo.
I never hit any buffaloes.
Was it a moose? What'd you hit, Andre?
Nothing.
No. Bear? Did you hit a bear?
I'd never hit anything with my truck. Please stop spreading false information.
Tony, the truck is fine. He did manage to kind of scratch a tree a little bit with it, but otherwise it's fine.
And the tree survived.
All right.
The tree was not
All
hurt.
right, before we get to the trucks that we've bought, did you have any issues with it over those 2 years? Did you have to have any recalls, which seem to
Yes.
be, like mushrooms after a rain now? Every day there's a new
Every vehicle has a recall. There were several recalls on my truck, and I've took care of some of them. Some of them I couldn't. For example, the windshield wiper motor recall is still there, and when I was trying to do it with the dealer, those parts weren't available, and so. But the wipers work great. So it's just that the motor could fail eventually, and there's a recall open for that. I had one misfire. I had an engine light, which I talked about. One misfire a year ago, last winter, what happened when I refueled. So I attribute that to bad fuel when I refueled. And other than that, it was a great truck.
All right, how about
And I actually was sad selling it.
how about wear and tear? How did the interior hold up over those 22,000 miles?
The seats are great. Cloth seats work great. What I didn't like about the Ford is, as far as interior and wear and tear, is the door cards. They're that hard plastic. It's okay to be hard plastic. It's an XL truck, but you could score it with your fingernail. Like the kids would get in and out it. And I think the door cards were not aging well. There was a little bit of a couple scratches on it. So, but the seats were incredible. The infotainment system, the screen, and all the, features worked really, really well. I really like the Ford Pass app that I can talk. I could see where my truck is or was. I could see the tire pressures. I can lock and unlock it. That was nice.
So, last two questions before we move on to another truck. What did you love about the truck, and what did you hate about the truck? So, pick one thing that you really loved and one thing you really hated.
Well, one thing I really loved and I now miss is the Pro Power Onboard, the inverter system.
Yeah, that was a game changer. That was really smart of Ford.
Yeah, and I didn't use that feature every week. But when we did need it, for example, David and I were welding on the gate, on X off-road gate.
Yeah, I remember.
And we were in the middle of a field, the Tumbleweed Ranch, and otherwise, we would not be able to do what we did if it wasn't for this inverter system.
And didn't you go to what's that lake called? Lake Mead, maybe? And you had a friend come with a Tesla.
Yeah, Lake Powell.
It was a Powell. And
Yeah.
then you helped charge your Tesla. Was that?
Right, because her Tesla was sitting. It was really hot. It was July, right?
Yeah.
Her Tesla was losing some energy because eventually, the Tesla wakes up and it kind of climate controls
Cools
itself.
the batteries and cools.
Yeah. So you lose. There's a little bit of kind of a ghost loss, right?
Yep.
Of the battery on the Tesla, and there were no chargers
Except for your truck.
except for my truck within a 150-mile radius.
And it will do up to 7.2
kilowatt
amps, right? Kilowatts. Okay, yeah, 7.2 kilowatts. I always get
and
those two mixed up.
30 amps.
Yeah.
So
which
it's actually
which is level 2.
Yeah, level 2. So after about 45 minutes, I was able to top off the Tesla. Well, not top off, but give enough energy to the Tesla that my friend could drive to Green River and actually charge over there.
And that feature is so popular that the Silverado's adding it, and we just did the new Ram Revolution. They're adding
All the
it.
electric trucks are now adding it.
Are having it. Yeah, it's a really great idea. I mean, think about like all the multiple uses. If you're, at a work site, if you're trying to charge, let's say your electric bike. Electric bikes have become hugely popular now. You could charge an electric bike off your truck while it's sitting in the bed, driving to whatever trail you're going to go ride.
Yeah, and we have another property where I do landscaping, so I would run my lawnmower off of it.
You have an electric lawnmower?
Yeah, I have an electric lawnmower and also electric trimmer,
Nice.
the edger.
Yeah.
So I would run that off the truck. So that's a really huge feature.
By the way, I bought an electric lawnmower like 2 years ago. A complete game changer. And this year I went, and this was a big spend because they're expensive. I went and bought an electric snowblower.
Whoa, they have snowblowers now?
Yeah, they have snowblowers. Yeah, so the lawnmower was a game changer because I don't know, and I don't know how many times in my life I've fussed with a lawnmower trying to get it started because the carburetor.
You pull the cable.
The carburetor always gets gunked up over the long winter, and the same thing happens with the snowblower. It gets gunked up over the long summer. You can put stabilizing stuff in the gas tank so that the fuel doesn't start to turn into varnish, but nevertheless you're always like, it's a whole. 15 trips later to Home Depot and it may be running, and then you finally start it up and all your neighbors are pissed at you because it's Saturday morning and you're mowing your lawn at 8 because you have to go, do some other stuff at 10, and
you're loud and the machine is screaming.
Yeah. So that electric lawnmower, my neighbor I think looks at me with envy because it's silent.
It hums.
Yeah, and it works.
Just goes by.
It's got 2 batteries, and I barely use one of them. And sometimes I'll go into, if it's spring, I'll maybe use 1.5 batteries. But it's great, yeah. And no maintenance, no fuss. And so I said, I'll bite the bullet. And I bought the electric snowblower, and it was expensive. It was like $1,400.
Isn't it like almost 2x? Like, because
the
my lawnmower was about twice as expensive as a regular lawnmower.
I want to say the lawn, and I go to Home Depot, so I bought, what's their brand? It's
EV, no,
not EV, no. It's their standard house brand almost.
Not Ryobi.
Yeah, Ryobi.
Oh, Ryobi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ryobi. I think it's Ryobi. Because I had the batteries, right? So you kind of want to.
You can interchange batteries?
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the batteries, even though you really can't because the lawnmower has smaller batteries than the snowblower because it uses a lot more power. So that theory did not work. But anyway, so I went and bought the snowblower, and I want to say a regular lawnmower is maybe $300 to $400, whereas an electric one, if you get one that is self-propelled, is basically for the cost of a self-propelled electric lawnmower. No, for the cost of a, how would it work? I'm trying to get this right. So a self-propelled gas lawnmower would cost about the same as a non-self-propelled electric lawnmower.
Yes.
Whereas a self-propelled electric lawnmower is probably twice that of a self-propelled gas lawnmower. And the same thing with the snowblower world, give or take. So this thing was expensive, but we start work at 8:30, and I got to get that because you know what happens once you drive on the snow,
it turns into ice.
And you'll never, and then you're out there with a hammer and chisel trying to get it off this driveway. So you want to get it before you drive on it, or before, in my case, my wife drives on it. And with this, it's still loud, but nowhere near as loud as a gas one. So you can actually fire it up at 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock, and the neighbors won't hear it. And it's not as powerful. It certainly doesn't throw the snow as far. But you know what? Very rarely do you get 15 feet of snow, right? Usually it's just enough snow that you can do well with an electric lawnmower. We haven't tried the spring snow yet. The spring snow is harder, right? Because it's got a lot more density.
It's really heavy, yeah.
It's heavy and it's wet. And that stuff tends to get clogged up more. But for the most part, I'm really happy with it.
Awesome. Yeah. So there you have it. Your consumer advice about lawnmowers and snowblowers.
All right. What did you hate about your truck?
What did I hate? What did I hate?
You can't find anything to hate. Maybe he
Well,
didn't.
I really loved it.
Okay.
I really loved it. It was quick, right? So the inverter
very
system was
fast.
one, and it was quite really powerful. 430 horsepower in the work truck. It was really incredible. I think what I maybe hated was how the interior was not wearing quite as nice as I hoped, as far as the door cards are concerned.
Now, this is I think an important question because we drive a lot of expensive trucks, right? I mean, we drive when Ford sends us a truck, it ain't the XL.
No, it's usually a King Ranch
Or higher.
Yeah.
And so, did you ever miss any of those kind of creature comforts? Like, did you have heated steering wheel, heated seats?
No.
See, that's the stuff I think I would miss.
So I would definitely. I'm in the cold months. Heated seat was kind of a big miss,
Yeah.
right? Heated steering wheel was a big miss. Also, I always had to start with a key.
Oh.
Now I kind of have. I'm used to either remote starting something or just pushing a button.
So let me tease the new truck. Did you get heated seats and heated steering wheel in the new truck?
No,
You didn't.
no.
Really? So you didn't miss it that
Well,
much?
I am a frugal fella.
Okay.
I am a frugal
All
fella.
right.
So
Did you get keyless entry and push button start in the new truck?
I believe so. And when we get to it, I'll explain why I'm not exactly sure about everything.
What color is the new truck?
It's a wild color,
You can say.
yellow.
You got a yellow one.
Yes.
Wow, that is a good color for video.
But it's not the yellow. It's not school bus yellow.
Okay.
Imagine more of a mustardy, shiny color.
Rivian does a kind of mustard yellow
Yeah.
in that truck. It's becoming very popular, kind of these muted earth tone color.
Yeah. So
So it's kind of like
I cannot say exactly the name because it may give it away.
right, like baby poo.
No, it's also not baby puke.
Sorry, Andre. I couldn't help that one.
Okay.
Because you know what that's like, right? That's kind of that mustardy yellow.
Yeah. I've been there before.
All right.
I've been
All right.
there.
All right. Well, we'll kind of drop clues along the way as we do this video.
Yeah. So
slash
before we move
podcast.
on to TFL trucks,
Yes.
I gotta thank our Patreon supporters.
All right. Who do we have to
Because
thank?
without you guys, we wouldn't be able to really, do this podcast for truck. Pete NYC recently supported us. Also, Jimmy Ward supported us in a huge way at patreon.com/TFLcar. It's our only site for Patreon. And also, dude, look at all the feedback and comments we have. I'm scrolling through my phone right now. And then Zab Whitley recently had a question for me. And Zab, I'm going to respond to you right after the show.
Okay, it's a long question. Sometimes people write us like very long questions, and those
Yes.
are very hard. If you do have a question for us, or if you do want to become a Patreon member and get those questions answered, please give us all the details. Well, what you want to read his question and answer it on this podcast?
Well, yeah, I do. Do you want to start so I can kind of prepare and
Okay.
I can kind of pre-read this?
All right, you pre-read it, or pick one of the other ones. That one's a long one. It's hard. Here's the kind of questions we can't answer. Hey guys, I've got an SUV and I'm looking for a truck. I need to tow my boat, and that is just not enough information. So
Or-
most of the questions that we get, you need to be very specific. Like, what's your budget? That's probably the most important one.
How far do you drive?
How far do you drive? Are there any brands that you're partial to? We always do well with this or that. I like this or that. But if it's way too open-ended, we just kind of throw up our hands and like, hey, there's nothing we can do there because we don't know what your budget is. We don't know where you live, right? Like, you could do very well with a two-wheel drive truck in Florida or Hawaii or Louisiana or Texas or Arizona, but not so well if you're up in Canada.
Actually, this question is pretty simple. Do you want to hit this now?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So thank you, Zab, once again, for sending this question. Here's the question. I currently have a 2020 Tundra and a 2022 Ford Super Duty Lariat F250 with a big diesel, 6.7. My wife uses the Ford for towing her horse trailer, so I never get to use it. There you have it. His
that's
wife
common,
took the
yeah,
Ford. Okay. I'm planning on getting a rugged mountain granite 9RL slide out camper that weighs around 4,000 pounds. Well, Zab, that doesn't sound like a very big trailer if it weighs 4,000 pounds dry. He has a 2023 brand new Super Duty on order with a Godzilla V8 gas engine. I know the gas has great payload. My only concern is having enough grunt to go over the mountain passes. He lives in Oregon. I can't decide if I should change my order or stick with my gas engine on my Super Duty.
He's just looking, Zab, I hear you loud and clear. You're looking for an excuse to get that diesel. Go for it. I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you a bunch of great reasons to get the diesel. But the fact is, they're just cool, right? So there are a lot of practical reasons that you can share, not wink, wink, with your wife. For instance, better fuel economy, honey.
Yes.
Much longer range. We won't have to stop at those icky pumps where the gas station bathrooms, are scary. We can just blow right by them and stop at a Starbucks. Also, better longevity. Don't tell her it costs more to repair. That's something, of course, we don't want to discuss. But certainly longer and better resale.
Yes.
Any more?
So, Zab, those are the Pro diesel.
I'm being funny, but look,
No.
You always want to get more capability. So, first of all, the engine has very little to do with payload except for its weight, right?
Yes.
So
diesel engines are heavy in heavy-duty trucks.
They are heavier,
Yeah.
so you do lose payload, but it's not the engine or the amount of power it has; it's how much it weighs. That really, and diesels are heavier, so you do lose a little bit of payload. But we bought that Godzilla F-250. And I kind of regret not getting the diesel in the long run. And we bought it not because, it was something I wanted or needed or something that Andre preferred. We bought it because it was brand new and we wanted to test it.
It was a brand new engine that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say we got snookered, but I would say, with the word Godzilla, it brings up Godzilla, obviously, right? This giant reptile that's crushing Tokyo. But instead, Ford tuned that engine not for performance, but for longevity.
Yeah, but also they made it to a 10-speed automatic heavy-duty transmission, and I think I was quite happy with that gas engine. Remember, we put a camper on it, right? We lifted it, we put 37s on it, and I did an gauntlet where I towed another Ford. Remember that we had an old 1990s Gunsmoke?
Yeah.
We towed our Gunsmoke project truck on the gauntlet, fully loaded, and that gas engine still performed and climbed the mountain. Did I wish I had the diesel? Yes, because I would have, been kind of calm and kind of putting up the mountain.
Obviously, the biggest downside is $10K, give or take.
It's $10,000 to get the diesel.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of money.
So Zab, if you want to spend $10,000 more, and also have kind of like all the pros that Roman's just said, better fuel efficiency while towing, ease of use, actually better downhill performance because it has an exhaust brake. The gas engine will not have an exhaust brake.
You also have to put diesel exhaust fluid into it too, which those things suck up at an enormous rate. We have that Ram 2500 Cummins, and I'm always buying DEF fluid for that thing.
Can I do a small rant?
Sure.
My rant, you go to a gas station or a truck stop and you buy the 2-gallon or a 5-gallon jug of DEF fluid or DEF, and it costs like $20.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. So what does that come out to? 20 divided by 5, $4 a gallon?
Yeah, it's expensive for urea.
But if you go on a truck stop by the highway and you pull through where the semi-trucks go.
And you got the big nozzle.
And you have a little nozzle of DEF. That's like $2 a gallon.
Yeah, so do that.
So why are they charging so much for those jugs?
Because you got to pay for the jug, right? It's got to have its own little spout on it, right? And then when you do exactly.
And it's heavy, right? You're lifting it over, or into your,
There was a survey recently that just came out that said people live longer and have better cognitive function if they drink more water. So maybe drink more water than. I've always wondered, can you pee into that? I mean, you're basically peeing out urea, right?
Please don't pee into your.
That might be the cheapest way. Get yourself a super giant gulp, and then at the next truck stop, just park way on the side, and then aim well.
No, please don't pee in your DF tanks.
What would happen? Should we do that video? It could be expensive.
Can you imagine buying an $80,000 truck with a big diesel? By the way, they're updating their diesels.
How long would it take us, like me, you, and Nathan, to fill up a 5-gallon jug?
This could be TFL
Andre,
after.
Why is this diesel exhaust fluid warm? Very yellow.
Oh my goodness!
I'm curious. It is urea, right?
Yeah, but it's not like the same consistency or the same composition as what comes out of you.
I mean, people are putting French fry oil in their diesel, so why not homemade urea?
There you go. So maybe there's a business opportunity, homemade urea. So let us know.
Anyway, go for the diesel. I would.
Zeb, don't go for the diesel.
All right, there you go. You
Well-
got two different opinions.
Well, Zeb, if your trailer weighs 4,000 pounds, let's say double it. Let's say you put everything into it, water.
It's a trailer or camper? I thought it was a sliding
Oh,
camper.
sliding
Yeah,
camper.
you're not paying attention to your own. It's a sliding camper, Andre, not a
Oh,
trailer.
that's why he's worried about payload.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Zeb.
Yeah. It's a sliding, and it's pretty heavy. 4,000. And when you said it was light, I was like, that's pretty
Oh,
heavy.
I thought it was a pull behind.
No, it's a sliding camper. 4,000
Oh,
pounds
jeez.
plus all the stuff you put into it. I mean,
All
we
right.
did that story where that guy cracked his Ram with 5,000 pound,
He cracked his frame.
right?
Yes.
So just be careful. 4,000 should be well within that truck's capability if you configure it right. Just remember, the more stuff you put on it, in other words, the more fancier the model, four-wheel drive, the less payload you have. And so I would.
I
What's-
would
what's
not
the
do
pa-
diesel.
No?
So here's the thing. So he's ordered an F350 reset.
Right.
Ford 350 Super Duty with a gas V8. And once again, Zeb, check the payload of your truck. If it's a 4x4, it'll have less payload.
What's the payload of a 350? It's got to be.
So for a gasoline one, it could be about 5,000 depending on configuration. Because if it's a crew cab, it would be less.
It's
If
hard
it's
to say. We can't guess at this. This is where.
yeah, we can't guess at this. So you have to be very precise.
Right, yeah, because a 4x4 is really going to decrease it. There's just too many factors that we
Crew
don't
cab
know.
will decrease it.
Yeah.
If you buy a King Ranch, that will decrease
Decrease
it.
it, yeah.
And
Just
4,000.
pay attention to payload and figure if this thing's 4,000 pounds, figure at least 5,000 when you fill it with water
So-
and propane and your bikes and whatever.
So then also, Zeb, you didn't say if it's a dually.
You
didn't specify
single rear
that.
wheel or a double, because a dually will have a greater payload.
Greater payload. So
Yeah.
please watch
I would,
your
if I was
your
doing
payload.
a 4,000 pound slide-in, Andre, I'd definitely go dually.
Yeah.
Definitely not
definitely go
single rear
dually. Definitely go gas. I don't think. I mean, if you want better fuel efficiency, maybe go diesel there. But be careful with this 4,000 pound trailer. Boy, we really spent a long time on this.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting topic.
It was cool.
Yeah, all right. So let's talk about the truck that we have bought. We bought 3 trucks recently, and let's start with the one that people probably know the most about, which is Stubby. And we wanted to buy the cheapest truck, full-size truck you could buy, and that happens to be a Ram Classic. So we've gone over this, so I don't want to go over it again. But
Right.
it's a classic. It's about $3,000 less than if you were to get a comparable Ford or a comparable Chevy. Or even a Nissan if you're thinking in those terms. And then, we had a really good experience. Tommy and I flew out to Idaho and bought it from our friends at, is it Peterson's? Yeah, Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson Auto.
Auto Group. Yeah, they were great. They really treated us well. And then we spent $38,000 on this truck. So we got some discounts, but once again, we went over all this. So I don't want to go into it multiple times. But let's talk about what it's like to live with, a little 2-door, regular sized bed truck. So the first thing I didn't know was, which is cool, is that Stubby has the same size bed as our Ram 2500,
Yeah,
which is a 6 3/4, right?
no, it's 6 foot 4 inch.
6
so
foot 4
it's, so it's a little bit less than 3.5
So
feet.
it's bigger than
6.5 feet.
It's not an 8-foot bed, right? But it's not the same size as a full size truck would have. So I really love the fact that is a really big and useful bed, because the tonneau cover we had on the 2500 we were able to put on
Fit
Stubby.
perfectly.
Fit perfectly, yeah.
And we did many videos, we call them Let's Find Out, about different fuel efficiency, how the tonneau cover affects it, how the chin spoiler affects it, how the towing mirrors affect it.
And the mirrors really affected a lot. If you put up those elephant ear mirrors, they really affected. But watch those mirrors, alltfl.com. But let's talk about kind of what it's like to live with that truck. I have to say, Andre, it's probably one of my favorite trucks. I just love the truck. First and foremost, I love it because it's a white truck, and we are completely anonymous. You could be in there, having a full-on like Latin American style dance party, and nobody would even look over to look at you. It's that anonymous, which I love actually.
It's kind of like a work truck that there's thousands of them
Yeah.
running around.
Yeah. So completely anonymous, and I actually really love the ride of the thing. It's got a really supple ride, and the dirty secret is we've lifted maybe 10 different trucks over the 10 years. We've been doing this for 12 years, and all but one has gotten worse in terms of ride. What you do is you make it better off-road, but you make it worse on-road. And this thing has a really good on-road ride. Super comfy.
Yeah, and I think Ram nailed that suspension system. And because this truck is smaller, it weighs less. Right?
Easy to park.
Easy to park, easy to turn. I also like that feature. I mean, I also like that it's kind of manageable. It's small, and it has a V6. Not a V8, it's not a Hemi, but I think it's kind of adequate for this truck.
So I'm going to tell you something that happened to me today, right? And I was thinking about that truck and a Ranger, okay? So I'm in this new Audi. We just did a really fun video where we compared 3 different off-roaders in the snow to see which one actually is best, but they don't compete. So anyway, one of them was the Audi A6 All-Road, and it's got this really fancy electronic screen with like haptic controls. And I'm driving, I pick up, me and Tom, you're coming to work because we share a ride sometimes, right? And I've got Howard Stern on and we want to talk, so you don't want to have, so I'm like, hey, put on my favorite show, which is Chill for music, right?
Okay.
And you look at the screen and you're like, wow, how do I do that? Right? How do I put on Chill? 53, I know it's 53.
It's
Stern
small.
Stern's 100, right,
yes.
on XM. So Tommy starts doing there's like a little arrow left, and you start tick, 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 and you got to do that 47 times to get there, right? And he says something like, yeah, the tune knob was much harder, wasn't it? And I'm like, well, what you could do, Tommy, is you could make that a favorite. So you'd have to figure out in Audi's, MMI, how you make it a favorite, probably star it, and then you have to figure out how you go to the screen that actually shows your favorites, right? And all this is very convoluted, and as opposed to Stubby or the Ranger, where there's a button, right, that is
or
your
a knob.
preset.
Yeah.
No, a preset.
Yeah.
Right? Like number one on this NPR. So number one is...
It's a hard button.
It's a hard button. Just push the button, and there you are.
Yeah.
Or number 2 is Chill, right? So we've made that, function so much better by going digital. So much better, Andre. And this truck is very much all analog, and that's what I love about it, right? Yeah. Simple buttons, tiny, tiny screen. And you know what? I don't miss that big screen at all. I mean, at all, Andre.
Yeah, and also, backing this truck up is pretty easy. It's pretty small already.
Well, cameras.
And there is a one camera, of course, in the back tailgate.
Because it has to have it.
But it's a tiny, tiny image. It's about as big as your credit card, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, lots of good about this truck. We got between 23 and 22 miles per gallon on the highway, so it's actually relatively efficient as well.
So I love the ride. I love the fact that we got the 4-wheel drive, so it actually does really well in the snow. I think the tires they're all season, so we need to go to a more aggressive all-terrain tire to get a little bit, maybe one that's snow rated, but that's all fixable. There are 3 things that I don't like about it. You want me to go through those?
Yeah.
And I'll get your 3 things.
Okay, go ahead.
So what I don't like about it, and this is probably the one that irritates me, and I want to do a podcast, Andre, called Deal Breakers, like things that would keep me from buying something. And this may be one of them, actually. The headlights, beyond bad.
Yeah, at night, gosh help you if you can see.
Yeah, it's that bad. I mean, I know it's the cheapest truck, but those headlights, especially, I think back when I was growing up, those headlights would have been perfectly fine. But now, since we've gone to LEDs and then eventually high-intensity headlights and then laser lights, right, where you can actually configure the way that the light shapes itself so that it's very bright on the side and the front, but doesn't blind oncoming drivers. These things are just a joke. I mean, it's like just put like 2 matches with reflectors.
2 candles,
and that's it. So I hate that, and that it might be a deal breaker. And what makes it a deal breaker is I would love to swap them out, but you got to basically remove the entire front fascia. Seriously, it's like a 5-hour process. Right, you got to take the grill out. You got to go take the fender covers on the inside out.
Yeah, because you have to remove the lower grill.
Probably remove the hood. So like 4 hours to change either the bulbs or the entire headlight, which is just come on, guys, you're better engineers than that. Whoever decided at Ram that it's going to take 4 hours to change a headlight bulb, you should be shown the door. Seriously.
Well, they're not the only ones. So Ford Super Duty, we have
Same
updated
problem, yeah.
our headlights on our F-250 from 2020. Same thing. We had to remove the entire front fascia and grille to get to the bulbs.
And these deal breakers tend to be things I was thinking about these that are just super annoying, right? They're things that are just like you're having a hard day, and this next one falls into that category. You're having a hard day. You're dealing with like you've got home issues, or your kid's acting up, or your dog just jumped on the carpet and did something you shouldn't have done,
Yeah.
and you're already in a bad mood. And then this next one is like that. And it's such a and the other thing about deal breakers is they're super cheap to fix. It's like the worst kind of cost cutting. And this is turning into a rant, so I apologize. But it's like, come on, don't cost cut with stuff like this. Safety, headlights, and this is another one. Actually, the truck has a lot of room behind the seats, right? But you have no second row seats, so anytime you're throwing it in, anytime you have anything you have to put into it, you have to throw it behind the seat. There's a lot of room there, but what happens is in the passenger and driver's side, you fold the seat forward, you throw in your bag, like a camera bag
Sure.
or whatever you're carrying, your groceries, and then it doesn't return when you fold it. It returns to the closest one to the steering wheel, so it's almost vertical. So then you got to get in the truck, and then you got to find the exact position that you were at. It's not a lot of work, but it's just so annoying. This is something that we solved like 50 years ago. Just
So it doesn't remember the position.
yeah,
basically.
return the seat to the proper seating position. Because then you're like, well, is it worth actually folding that seat down? Because then it takes me 14 attempts to find the right seat. I'm just like, how that is, right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, no, that's not quite right. No, that's not quite right. So that's another one. And then the last one that is annoying is the undampened tailgate. Is that how you say it?
They're just
It's just because I
fold down.
forget, because all trucks now are pretty much dampened. So I'll open it up, and then like at 7 in the morning, once again, I'll wake up the neighbors because it goes boom. Because I've forgotten that it's it doesn't have the little $20 piece in there that would make it slowly go. And anyway, those are mine. How about yours?
Oh, these are, headlights has to be one. The other thing, I don't mind the seats. I think the seats are good. And actually, what I didn't realize with a two-door truck, not a extended cab or a crew cab, the door is actually wider than in a crew cab.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
like
door
it's
is
like
actually
a coupe versus a
yeah,
sedan.
yeah. It's like a really, really long door, which means you have better side vision, and also additional storage in the door. But what I don't like is the steering wheel. You know how it telescopes. A lot of trucks have telescoping and adjustable steering wheel.
Up and down, in and out.
This one doesn't quite go as far as I want.
Okay.
So I can never get my steering wheel kind of, and also towing. Dude,
5,000
we
pounds.
just under 5,000 pounds because we were looking for the cheapest truck, but by gosh, it tows less than a Honda Ridgeline.
What do we get? The 322?
321.
321. Yeah.
And you would say, Andre Roman, why didn't you get the 355 or something else?
Because you couldn't do it.
Because we couldn't find this truck.
Yeah, we could barely find this truck. They stopped building these actually.
Yeah. So shorter bed, short cab.
And let's face it, in the current situation, you're going to wait a year to order something, and we just can't do that. I mean, by that point, you guys would have moved on. So, hey, Andre, I did something interesting, and you don't know about this.
Oh, what'd you do?
I had a really good idea for a video series, and we're going to do the first video with this hopefully next week. And it
Okay.
involves you, me, and Nathan.
Okay.
So I went and I bought 5 truck accessories for it.
For the Ram?
For the Ram, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like cool. What I thought were interesting and unique car, but they're not like the typical things, right? They're not like mud flaps. These are unique truck accessories, and
And you bought 5 of them.
I bought 5 of them. Yeah, they do kind of unique things.
Okay.
And I'm going to give them to you and Nathan, and you guys are going to have to A, figure out what they're for, and then B, find out whether you think it was a good buy or not. So buy it or forget it. So
Okay.
I'm going to give them to you and on camera. You've never seen these things.
Okay.
You and Nathan are going to have to not only figure out what they're for, but how to install them, and they're not hard to install. but
That's fun.
And then whether they're worth buying or not, and
That's
then
fun.
guess at the price.
Let's see. Did you buy a green tree that hangs off the?
No, I didn't buy,
no?
I didn't buy. No, nothing like that.
Okay. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't-
we're
I
going to
can't-
accessorize our truck.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. These are interesting things, and I'll be curious to see what you and Nathan make of them.
Sounds good.
That's
I
coming to
can't-
alltfl.com. All right, let's move on to the Ranger.
Well, what about Hummer? Because we talked about the most affordable full-size truck, which is the Ram 1500 Classic. But what about the most expensive full-size truck, which is actually the Hummer.
Yeah, so, gosh, what was it? 3 years ago, we were doing an interview with one of the GM engineers. Remember this?
Yes.
And he said this was when either the TRX
So-
came out. Right? I think the TRX came out, right?
Yeah, the TRX came out, and this was at the height of COVID.
Yes.
We were doing a podcast,
And what did the engineer say?
and he said, once again, folks, the Raptor will be extinct.
Yeah, he said the Raptor will go extinct.
Yes.
Or dinosaurs will go extinct.
Yes.
I think TRX
And the Raptor.
and
right?
Raptor. And so, at that point, that
And we're
was
like, what are you talking about? He's like, I can't tell
He
you.
can tell you more. And so
Yeah.
we think he was talking about the Hummer EV. And when, GM builds a competitor, even though it's electric, to the TRX and to the Hummer and to the Raptor, we have to have it, and we have to be able to actually test it and review it over a longer period of time. So that's why we went and bought the thing, because obviously, we try to get both ends of the spectrum. So with Stubby, we got the cheapest, but at the same time, we also wanted to get the most expensive and see how capable it was.
Well, not just because it's the most expensive, but because, like you said, it was their moonshot.
Yeah, and-
that's how they presented this truck.
And so the first problem was one we're still fighting about. All right, we're going to get into some controversial political stuff here, but we're always transparent. So we didn't have a reservation for it, and as you know, it's a hot truck, and people are buying them and flipping them and making money, which we don't do. That's not our business. We want to review it. So one of our viewers, Jason, thank you very much, came up to us just like we did with the Bronco and said, "Hey, I've got a reservation. If you
And I don't want it.
I don't want it. If
Yeah.
you want it, you can have it." And then we said, "Heck yeah, you bet." And then as a thank you, we always say, what we'll do is we'll do a shout out to the charity of your choice to help promote it. And his charity was the Dumb Friends League, which we did. So if you want a good charity.
Which is a charity that support, helps
dogs,
with
cats.
pets.
Yeah, exactly. So Dumb Friends League, check them out there. They do really good work. And then, stupidly, I was like, doop, 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 doop. I'll just call GM and tell them, we've got this, because we thought, biggest
Let's
truck
transfer
channel on
it.
YouTube.
Yeah, let's transfer it.
Let's transfer the reservation. They'll appreciate all of the publicity. So I called them up, and they were like, nope, absolutely not. You can't do that. What you're doing is, it was almost like they were
like
like
flipping it.
police. No, they were almost like they were a government agency, and we were somehow breaking the law. You know what I mean? Like it's not just against policy. You can go to jail for that. It was like that.
And they're like, are you related to this person? Are you the brother or the mother? We're like, no, we're not related to this person.
And I was just dumbfounded. I was like, wow, the Bronco that we did, right? We put it up against, it just shone, right? I mean, it was just like we probably sold more Broncos, seriously, than any other publication out there, because we bought one and we showed off all of the features that it had.
Yeah, and we off-roaded it and we drove it everywhere.
Yeah, and GM was like, nope, absolutely not. And we're like, all right, well, stop us. which what they did was they basically had us sign a form saying that if we were to flip it within 6 months, we'd lose the battery warranty on it, which is big, right?
So
no, you keep the battery warranty, but you lose the general warranty. So if we were to sell, but we're not in that business, so it didn't matter to us. I'm like, I don't care. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it as long as we need it, and then when it's time for it to go, when you guys are bored of it, and when
We'll sell it.
we'll sell it. Yeah, that's what we do.
But here's the thing. So why is the Bronco? The Bronco we also transferred the reservation with.
Right. Yeah. They were.
But it was also hard to do, and actually we couldn't really transfer it. We had to buy it a joint purchase, right?
For the Hummer EV, we had to jointly buy.
And also for the Bronco, right?
No, that one we transferred. So Bronco.
No, I don't think so.
No, we did. Yeah.
Anyways,
I was
so
there,
why
I signed the paperwork.
Why is this happening? Well, it's because they're worried about markups, right? Because every manufacturer is getting bad press. Anything from G-Wagons to Hummers.
Wait, hold on. So I have to stop you right there.
Okay.
So they're worried about markups. So
Yes.
instead of going after the dealers that are
They're
ones,
going after the
they're
customer.
going after their customers,
Yes.
which also makes no sense, be it any of the manufacturers. So the people who are doing most of the markups, right, because we
Are the
get a lot of
dealerships.
these, are the dealerships, right? And so to prevent the markups, they are punishing the consumer, the buyer of their product, instead of the dealers who sell their product, which I think speaks volumes about the relationship between dealers and traditional manufacturers, and also probably speaks volumes as to why Tesla and Rivian are so successful.
So how can they punish the dealer, right? If the dealer is doing something the manufacturer doesn't like huge markups, they could prevent allocation to the dealer, right? They can say, we will no longer send you, or allow you to purchase X number of vehicles, right?
Let's cut to the chase, Andre. I just read a story, and the stories will explain all this right away, right?
Okay.
We went from 17 million units a year last year. That's how much we were selling. Units are cars and trucks in accountant speak, to 13.7 million, right? So we're down
From
almost
2021 to 22.
yeah. So, and yet profits are at record levels. I think 32 billion is the number that people are saying. And those profits are shared between the manufacturers and between the dealerships. So dealer profits are through the roof, manufacturer profits are through the roof. And the reason for that is because consumers are paying a lot more, you and me, for these vehicles, right? The reason for that, of course, is because there's less inventory, so prices are higher.
Demand is high, supply is low.
So I believe,
Yes.
Andre, that the manufacturers are like, oh, don't do that, as they're raking in the money. Oh, don't do that. More money.
Okay.
You see?
Yeah.
And at some point, I think that tells you everything you probably want to know about the relationships and why this is happening.
So now let's talk about the truck.
Yeah, let's talk about the truck. So maybe they were right, because it did leave me stranded. But I wasn't expecting. Look, we're not here with an agenda. We don't care if it's electric. We don't care if it's gas. We really just want to review the truck for what it is. And I have to be honest, I have fallen head over heels in love with that truck. It's just, and I love things that are just bat-you-know-what crazy, and that is about as bat-you-know-what crazy as it gets. This week, another story was that the government's all worried about like 9,500 pound trucks crashing into Civics, which is a real worry. But then you've got semis out there crashing into Civics,
Or delivery vans crashing into things.
which weigh a lot more than 9,500 pounds. But the truck is just off the scale in terms of its like unpracticality, but at the same time livability.
So
it doesn't tow very well. It doesn't actually off-road all that well either.
well, it tows well, but not very much.
It doesn't tow very far.
Yes.
No, it doesn't tow all that well.
Well, yeah.
$112,000, and you can tow what?
7,500 pounds, and you can go 200 miles.
Barely.
with that weight. So you talked about the Ram 1500 being anonymous and inconspicuous.
Yes.
This is the opposite.
Yes.
Whenever I drive the Hummer, whether going to our shooting location or anywhere, everybody turns and looks.
Yeah.
It's just you can't be undercover.
Yeah, and
this.
now that I've kind of been a little salty, against GM, let me give them some compliments. First and foremost, the thing is a tour de force of innovation, right? You have a truck with 10 degrees of steering in the back, with air suspension, with a removable roof, with
1,000 horsepower.
3 motors, 0 to 60 time in about 3.5 seconds. And we were able to put it on 37s without doing anything to it. So it came with 35s. And this time we did get the mud terrains from our friends at BFG. So thank you very much. And because the truck broke down, GM or maybe the local, whatever it is,
dealership,
yeah. Region sent us $2,000 as a sorry about that, which was very nice. And so we used that money to buy the gold wheels that we put on it.
Which look amazing, by the way.
Which look amazing.
I love the new wheel we got.
And so we upgraded to 37s, and we still don't know. The weather's just been so bad. It's such an expensive truck, and it has so much of our inventory in it, right? Because eventually we'll trade that for something else.
Yeah,
I've been terrified to take it out there with the snow, and not because it's going to get wet or rusty, but because I'm afraid of somebody else bashing into it. And there was just a story out that the rear tail lights cost $6,000 to replace, and so I'm afraid of a car running into it. But now the weather's getting nice, so we'll do a range test to see what putting 37s on has done to our range. But I love the truck. I absolutely love the truck, and I applaud GM for building it. I know a lot of people are like, they're taking something that's supposed to be green and environmentally friendly and making it into something that's not. And it's funny, a lot of guys and gals who love diesel trucks, right, because of their bold and brashness, right, hate electric vehicles. And yet this is basically the biggest, baddest, most audacious truck out there.
And the most inefficient EV out there.
Exactly. It's exactly the same as if you were to diesel, like emissions delete
a big lifted
or a Duramax.
Yeah.
It's that in EV terms, but yet because of the politics of it, they're unwilling, I think, to actually even listen to that argument. But it is a really fun vehicle to drive.
So a lot to love, but I also want to bring up a couple of things I really don't like about this.
Go for it.
So a lot to love, like you said, performance is great. Actually, putting down all the windows. We haven't removed the top yet, but you can remove the top. The rear glass falls down too.
Yes.
So you can roll down the rear glass and almost have this convertible experience.
Well, it's 16 degrees out there, Andre. We're not going to be taking the roof off.
Not yet.
No, we'll take it off. Yeah.
Okay. So all those things are awesome. Awesome. One thing I really dislike is you and I just recently took it to Moab.
Yeah.
We drove it to Moab to do an off-road review. And there's a lot of wind noise coming through the A-pillar area or the area.
It's not great at 75. It does make a lot of noise.
Yeah. So it almost sounds like a soft top.
Almost. Not quite as bad.
Not quite as bad, but this is an expensive premium vehicle, and I would expect lower levels of interior noise while moving on the highway.
That could be a deal breaker.
Yeah,
it could be. That one is certainly enough of a deal breaker, but I don't know how many people are cross countrying these because. Once again, so here's the dichotomy.
Not cross countrying, but what if you wanted to go from Dallas to Austin?
Yeah,
you have to drive a couple hours.
Here's the dichotomy. It's got a huge battery, 250 kilowatt hour battery, which is great. But the downside of that is it's a huge battery, so it takes a long time to fill up. That's the fastest charging vehicle we've ever had, 365, 370 kilowatts.
We actually saw better than advertised speed
but
for
even at
charging.
that rate, you're looking, if it's pretty empty, an hour to fill it up.
Yeah.
Which is, that's why I'm saying it's probably not a great cross-country vehicle.
No, it's not. No. So if you're going at high speeds, it's a little bit loud. It will take a longer time to charge. But when we drove to Moab, we had dinner while charging, and we didn't really waste any time. We had dinner, and it was charged.
And the one thing, we did own a Lightning that we drove all the way up to Prudhoe Bay, which I'm very proud of. We were the first to drive a Lightning that as far north in America as you can. When I say Lightning, I mean an electric truck.
Yeah.
But the one thing that truck does, the Hummer, does point out in the Lightning is that the Lightning is definitely under-batteried. 130 kilowatt with the extended range battery is just not enough for a pickup truck, right? Especially a pickup truck that is a brick into the wind. The thing about Ford is they were first, except for Rivian, but Rivian has the same problem as well, so it shouldn't really matter. But we're looking at, I think the best we ever got in terms of kilowatts per mile was how much? I think if you got
Well, the faster you go, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I think
on the highway, it was 2.2.
Exactly. And this one, you're down to
1.5,
1.6. And we just bought a Bolt.
Yes.
That thing was averaging 4.5.
This is miles per kilowatt hour.
Yes.
So the Bolt, the little hatchback, is basically 3 times as efficient as the Hummer.
But the problem is when you have a Lightning that is,
doesn't have a huge battery.
It's just not enough.
Yeah.
And then it exponentially, you use more power the faster you go. And so at 65, I'm sure it's okay, but who drives 65, especially here in the West? Maybe in, cities. But even then, you go to California, dude. I've been on the 405, and you're flying along at 80. You are, if it's not a block,
Yeah, anyways, so it has some negatives. It is still the fastest charging vehicle, EV, right now, at least on the market right now.
So let's do this. Let's skip the Ranger. We'll do that next time.
Okay.
Because we're running out of time.
Okay.
So I think people have been waiting long enough, Andre. Let's talk about what truck you decided to purchase next. And this is not for TFL. This is not a truck that we'll buy and sell. Andre, you keep him longer, right?
I keep him a bit longer. I want to keep it at least a year, maybe 2.
So what's the color called?
The color is called Nitro Yellow.
So if all of you fans out
Google
there,
fans, go to google.com and type in Nitro Yellow.
And you'll learn that is a color that you can get on the next generation. Andre, you say it.
Chevy Colorado.
Congratulations, Andre, for getting a Colorado. So let me ask you this. Why'd you go for a Colorado? And let me break it down into a couple of questions, sub-questions, okay? First, why'd you go from full size to mid-size?
I didn't want to do that. I like space. I have a daughter and a son, and I didn't really want to downsize on space, on size of the truck,
But you did.
but I did because it's an all new generation of the truck.
Can you configure it while I talk?
Yes,
and
I
show
will
them
configure it while you talk. I'm a little bit. Uh, I'm unsure about this because if the rear seat in this new Colorado is not super huge, my daughter is going to be upset.
And what trim level did you get?
I'm going to
And
get
keep
there
in mind,
soon.
Andre has a tall family. His daughter is tall.
She plays volleyball.
Yeah, she's tall. Andre's 6'3", so it's a tall family.
So, um, the biggest reason why I chose the Colorado is because, like I said, I could have it soon. It's supposed to be built in about a week from now.
So we're listening to this. It is we're
This is
recording
mid-January.
Mid-January.
So it will be built in January. I don't know exactly when it will be delivered to me, which is why I haven't been announcing it yet. And also, I ordered it. Our friends at Johnson Auto Plaza
Yep.
here in Colorado, which we work with them a lot. They're really great people. Matt from Johnson Auto Plaza called me the day it was open for order.
That's great.
This was back in November. And I think, in Colorado, maybe the first person to order one.
All right, so I'm looking at the configurator. There are four configurations: work truck, LT, actually five.
Yeah.
Trail Boss, Z71, and of course the ZR2.
Uh-huh.
And you're about to click on the Trail Boss. Did you get a Trail Boss?
Yeah, I got a Trail Boss. Yeah, and some of you guys already guessed it in a couple of videos we published before that I'm kind of was partial to the Trail Boss. So I wanted something a little bit off-roady. I didn't want another work truck, right? So my Ford was a work truck, and I wanted something a little bit nicer, maybe with a few more features and options. Once again, I didn't want to spend a heck of a lot. I wanted to spend less than the Ford.
So MSRP from 38,495, but
Yep.
I think you probably end up spending.
I got a few options.
Okay, so what options?
So
What'd
so
you do?
let me choose the color.
Show them the
The
nitro.
color costs $395.
Click it, man. Click it.
So it's already a cost.
Oh, there it is. That is that is almost.
Almost, baby. You know what?
No, I was gonna go almost gold. There's a little bit of gold in that.
Yeah. So I don't think it looks good here on the screen, but it's a little bit darker in real life. I've seen this truck in real life, one like this in a prototype form.
And so, what else did you get?
So I got it nitro gold, nitro yellow. I kept obviously. Oh, I got tires. So thank you, General Motors. Now you can actually choose the type of tire you want to spend more. I decided to get the Goodyear Wrangler Territory
Which are really
MTs.
good. We have those on our Bronco.
And we had them on the TRX.
They're really good.
So a really good pattern, really good all-around tire. That's $495. But look, they give you the option to do it.
Yeah, because if you were to get that, well, first of all, you have to try to get it. The tires are also hard to get now, as everything.
There's a shortage.
But you'd have to obviously pay more and then pay to install them. And then what do you do with the old ones? And
Yeah, you have to resell them or sit on them.
Or pay to get rid of them.
Yeah. So then I went with the Evo Tex seat trim.
That's
$1,200.
Ooh.
Which is $1,200. But I didn't want the cloth seats. I've already had cloth seats. But it's kind of almost like this synthetic leather material, kind of like vinyl.
So you can get it dirty.
Yeah, you can get it dirty. You can wipe it off.
And you have a dog that's going to jump around
Yep.
on it and do what dogs do.
So then I couldn't, when I was ordering it, I was one of the first people to order it in Colorado. Some of these packages weren't available in the ordering system. So I couldn't do the convenience package with the power seats. I couldn't do a few things, but I could get the trailering because that's really important to me,
Yeah,
right?
you tow your boat.
$620 for the trailering package, including the trailering app. I'm really curious about how that's going to work. And look at this. Trailer brake controller is included.
Yeah, we were just talking
It's
about that
included.
yesterday. I'm amazed at how many mid-sized trucks still don't have a standard brake controller because in most states, if you go over like 3,000 pounds, you got to have a brake controller. And even if you don't, you should because you don't want that weight jackknifing or pushing you into oncoming traffic. So it seems like once again, like those headlights, it's a safety issue, and more people are towing with mid-sized trucks because the capability keeps going up. Once upon a time, a mid-sized truck you could only tow
3,000 pounds or so.
And it's ironic, like Stubby has a built-in brake controller, and it only tows 5,000, whereas this tows like
7,700 pounds.
And
yes.
it doesn't, yeah. It makes no sense on that. It makes no sense.
But GM does. So currently the Tacoma doesn't come with an integrated brake controller for the trailer. The Ford doesn't. Jeep doesn't. You have to add it later, right? Chevy does, includes it. So at the end of the day, my truck MSRP is about $41,400, just the way it's configured right now.
So $3K more than Stubby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Or actually, 41 was the sticker on the Stubby. We just got a small discount from Ram. You know what I don't like already?
What?
And I haven't even seen my truck. I don't like a fully blacked out grill. I think it kind of hides some of the detail. And also, I don't have LED lights. So I might have candles for lights. But we'll have to wait and see when I get the truck, of course.
Do you have blindside monitoring?
I don't know that either, but I do have a new interior.
Yeah.
I do have an 8-speed automatic that I'm kind of want to try out.
And what's your engine? Which tune of the engine?
It's the mid.
So
it's the mid.
The 310, right?
310 horsepower, 390 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of power, dude. We have a Ranger, so just to make the conversation whole again, we bought a 2019 Ford Ranger, which also has a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, and the Ranger has 310 pound-feet of torque. This is 390, and it's not even the most powerful version of that engine. So I would imagine that's a lot of torque in this little truck.
We'll find out. Well,
yes.
Anyway, congratulations, Andre. I'm super happy for you. I can't wait for you to get that truck. Are you getting it delivered to Detroit or here in Colorado?
So right now it's coming to Colorado.
Fine.
It's built at the Wentzville, Missouri facility, which is near St. Louis.
Okay.
So I could potentially transfer it to maybe a dealership there, fly in, drive it home.
It's just
But
a lot of work.
the timing may not work out because, as you know, Chicago Auto Show is around the corner.
Yep.
Barrett Jackson is next week.
We'll be covering that.
What else? We're doing a lot actually in the next couple 3 weeks.
We're all going to be gone. Yeah.
So for me to fly to St. Louis and try to get this truck,
You think you'll have it before you go in the program?
I don't know, dude.
Because there's a program for journalists that Andre's on, so you might. Wouldn't it be hilarious? So you go on the program, you have your own truck, and yet the driving impressions are embargoed on the program.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be funny?
It would be funny, but not for them. It would be funny for me.
I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see that happening.
You know, even if it's built in January, you know how it goes. It waits at the factory, and then it goes on the
there, and then goes on a train. Maybe
it goes on the train and
delivery, and you know how that is.
Oh, it could take months.
Yeah.
to deliver a truck.
And then it shows up when you least expect it.
Yeah, like you're going to Chicago, and oh, hey, your truck is here.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I've been waiting for it for so long, and now I can't even look at it. So that's been kind of the worst thing about this. I got a sense, Andre, people are getting really sick and tired of waiting, and I know that because we just got an email from one of our viewers who had ordered a Lightning. Right, you saw that email.
Yeah,
right?
Toby, right?
Yeah, Toby, and he got sick of waiting. He just went and found the vehicle.
And found another one somewhere.
So I think what's happening is. People are getting better at finding what they want, and they're getting tired of waiting. I don't blame you guys. You know, I'm not all about like instant gratification, but if you need the truck for work or if you need the truck for whatever,
your family,
this it feels like I'm not saying the manufacturers or dealers are playing games because these are probably real supply chain issues, but from a consumer truck buyer point of view, it feels like we're getting yanked around by a lot of different issues. You know, like you see it in the forums. You know, oh, my truck is sitting in some parking lot because it's missing a badge.
Yeah, or it's missing a mirror, or it's missing something.
Yeah, or dealers are, you order the thing and then you show up and the dealer says, oh, it's $10,000 more than what the configurator said, and you're like,
and you
how
explode.
is that not bait and switch?
Yeah, you explode in their face.
I think people are, I think the amount of hate that is out there. Is probably equivalent to the amount of profit that these companies and dealerships have made, and there's going to be some kind of I don't want to use the word reckoning, but some kind of a come to God moment at some point where people are going to reward the companies that they work with, and they're going to punish the companies. That's one of the things, and I'm going to just, my job here at TFL, Andre, is to stick my finger in the wind and kind of see which way it's blowing. I'm gonna just put out a warning there for all you manufacturers who are gonna jump on the subscription train. You are doing that at your own peril. It cheapens your brand, and it makes you look like a bunch of late night money hungry. What would you call them? Bait and switch.
No, I don't want to say that.
No,
I was going to say shyster, but
yeah,
no,
maybe not shyster, but it's not a good look. It's just not a good look. Hey, you want heated seats? Guess what? You're gonna have to pay $100 a month, a year for them. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Charge me up front. Be upfront about it. If the truck has heated seats, I'll pay for it. I'll do it up front, and then I'll keep it.
And the real problem is people inherently understand that you're paying for it twice. And we've been down that road. We've been down that road with music. The music industry had a come to God moment when Napster came along because, when I was growing up, you'd buy a record album and you'd pay for the rights to your favorite song, which, in my case was Pink Floyd. And then you wanted to play it in your car, so you bought the tape and you'd have to pay for the rights again for that song. And it's like, I already bought that song.
Yeah, why can't they transfer it from here to there?
Yeah, and same thing with cars, in trucks. You've already bought the thing. Why am I paying for it? So I'm just saying, do that at your own peril, please.
So
knock it off.
And just to close out, I'm really excited about my Colorado. I have a couple of, like I said, I'm a little worried about certain things, like how my family is going to fit in the back seat, how is it going to drive, because I haven't driven it yet. Right?
That's another thing. Most people, those days are gone, Andre.
So I ordered a vehicle I've never driven.
You're with the rest of us.
Well, yeah. And also I think what's happening is more people are ordering their vehicles. And you picking the colors and the options and everything you love.
I felt really lucky to be able to drive the Hummer EV, so I got to go out and drive it at their test track. And the second I drove it, I was like, I'm in love with this thing. And that hasn't changed, by the way.
Or it could be reversed. You could have driven and said, forget about it. It drives drives really bad.
Yeah, trucks drive like trucks. But that thing doesn't. That
drives like a rocket ship.
Exactly.
So there you have it. My next truck is a Colorado Trail Boss.
And I just want to once again do a huge shout out to all our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys, and hopefully we have Zeb. What was his name? Zeb?
Yeah, I'm sorry I messed up your question, but I think in the end, just pay attention to your payload, the ratings. I would say if you slide in as a 4,000 pound, then get a dually. Please get the bigger truck, and you'll be happy.
And thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And remember, check out all TFL. We do have a lot of channels and a lot of outlets, and we appreciate that you guys are following us on all of them. And I especially love those comments we get where we try to publish our longer, more intricate videos on the weekends. And I love when people write, I love to have my coffee and watch a TFL video on a Saturday or Sunday morning, because that makes me feel like, people are enjoying our stuff and watching it, and that's kind of the biggest reward, right, that we can have, you guys watching it.
And the second biggest reward is question from Zeb. They're making decisions, buying decisions using our information, which makes me feel really great.
Yeah. So. And it should hopefully, keep us in business
a little bit longer
for another year. Every year I'm like, this is going to end. How do I get paid for what I love to do?
Well, dude, there's not a lot of truck outlets out there anymore.
Yeah, we're the last one standing.
Pickuptrucks.com, they kind of went away from video and reviews. Trucks.com went away.
Our friend Sean Holman
from Four Wheeler,
just left. Yeah, Trucks.com kind of is a shadow of itself. Yeah, all those, we're the last truck publications left standing. So
Stephen Elmer, Truck King, we really appreciate your work with Howard.
And of course, Tim's out there still.
Tim, yeah, thank you very much. So not a lot of, truck-focused outlets out there.
No, so, and, the most, I would say, consequential truck journalist here just bought a Colorado GM. That says something.
According to Roman.
No, I think it's according to you guys.
Okay.
All right. See you next time. Ciao.
Thanks. Bye.